Hey, welcome back to A Faster Me. This is another video brought to you by Building Block Construction. This will be the Redlands Criterium, and this is the amateur crit that takes place on Sunday. So during this week, there's also a Redlands Classic stage race, and a lot of the racers that get eliminated from the classic race or the stage race, they end up racing this amateur crit on Sunday. So yeah, it's a pretty good field. I think it's over 30 riders, and it's kind of a mix between, local amateurs and then some of the riders that were here for the Redlands Classic that come from all over the country. So definitely a strong field, and as you can see, it's a pretty large field as well. So here we're gonna go through the circuit. This is not your normal. This is not your normal four-corner crit. This is a little bit more technical of a circuit. We're coming through one of the technical spots here, which is going to be a quick right-left chicane. It's actually not that technical. It looks technical, but if you take the proper line through here, you can straight line it pretty well, and it's not that big of a deal. But it's just something that people are not used to: downhill, fast, right-left chicane. And then here's another unique turn. Again, not your typical crit. This is a long sweeping turn with decreasing radius at the end. So it's good to take a wide approach, kind of like Marlena's doing here, and then cut it really tight towards the apex there. That's probably the best and kind of fastest line as far as getting up this straightaway. And then here is a pretty taxing. It's not that big of a deal, but it's a pretty false flat here. Sometimes it gets up to about 4%, but it's so gradual you don't realize that you're going uphill this steep. It's pretty fast as well. As you can see, they're at 26 miles per hour, and they're not really even on the gas that hard. But it is taxing after so many laps. And then probably the most technical turn here is this really tight, decreasing radius, off-camber right-hander here, which typically you want to take with the wide approach. Turn as late as possible, hit the apex, and then kind of run it wide to the outside. But the outside does drop off a little bit there towards the gutter, and at high speed, people can you can kind of lose the front there with the off camber, and then sometimes when people are trying to pedal through, they can also clip a pedal there. But yeah, that's one lap. Going back into the chicane now, and that's one full lap, and it's just a fun, fast-flowing course, and like I said, it's not your typical four-corner crit. But at the same time, it's fast and open. It's not a bunch of stop and go. But you will see people slow down more than they need to, and then of course surge out of the corners. That's Georgetta right there in front of us, or in front of Marlena to her right. Georgetta's super strong. She's been doing this for a while now, and has a ton of wins and national championships from Romania, and she's just a strong rider that wins a lot of races. So in the race with us for this race, we have Marlena Bemis, which is on the camera. You got Felicia Castellano, which is guest riding for us, Avery Howes, Anastasia, and Alexa's in the race also, but Alexa's guest riding for Quick Brown Fox this weekend. She rode the Redlands Classic with the Quick Brown Fox. Unfortunately, she didn't make one of the time cuts, so she's in this race this weekend. And then there's Elisa with the UCSD kit over there to the left. She's a super strong rider as well, kind of new to racing. Can do some improvement on her cornering. I'll point out a couple things here later, but very strong. She's won a number of races already this year in the Cat 345 field and the collegiate field. But yeah, once she gets used to crit racing and a little bit better bike handling and cornering, she's definitely I think she's gonna win some P123 races in the future as well. So yeah, like I said, this isn't your normal four-corner crit, and because of that, you're gonna see some varying lines here. And I talk about lines and apexes a lot. I just think it's super important, and I think it's very overlooked. Especially the stronger you are, the more it gets overlooked, because you're able to make up for, like bad lines or lack of understanding of cornering or race lines. You're able to make it up with just power and brute strength or high endurance, and people see you having good results, and they never tell you or never teach you how to approach cornering and proper lines. All they see is that you're strong, and unfortunately, the stronger people are, the less you can tell them or teach them, because their results are up there, and it slows down their ability to learn, because everybody's a little bit arrogant, and they they really don't care. They just think like, oh, I'm beating people anyway, or I'm doing well already, so I must be doing it right, when you can be doing a lot better, make the race a little bit easier on you. But a lot of people just won't learn the fundamentals because they're physically strong. So on this corner here, going into this last turn is one of the spots where you'll see a lot of people taking not the optimum line. A lot of people will hug this corner to the right here. Right now, no one's doing it too badly, but a lot of people go on the inside there to the right, and it's just really the slowest angle, basically. It's the slowest approach you can take, and obviously it puts you at the highest risk of clipping a pedal. And then at speed, if you take that tight angle, if you don't slow down, you end up running wide towards the barriers, which are decreasing and going back to the right. You'll see that later in the race too. Like, there's so many what I would consider poor lines through the last turn. So this race is a little unique too. Other than us and maybe a quick brown fox, there's not too many teams in here with high numbers. I think both of us have at least 4 riders in it, but other than that, there's no teams to kind of control the race. So you have a bunch of fast girls all kind of going fast, but it's all a little bit random, not any teamwork. So there's really no control over the race. It's just kind of individual efforts. So if you can see Elisa running wide over there again, like I said, that doesn't seem like a big deal when you're still with the group, but it is. It taxes your legs more, taxes your mental ability, just being uncomfortable through some of those turns, and then having to have hard accelerations out. All that stuff kind of adds up, and that's and not to mention it makes it a little bit unsafe just overall, because it makes you a little bit unpredictable, and you lose a little bit of control not going into the corner at the right angle. You end up not being able to steer your bike as much as you would like, or have the control over your bike that you would want, and that just makes it tough on you throughout the race. So all these little things kind of add up. So yeah, Marlena's definitely too far back. She needs to be up a lot further up the field here. You can see Avery going up the inside over there to the right, Felicia over on the left. And that's Avery there with the Bianchi bike. I think Avery's sponsored by Bianchi, so shout out to Avery and Bianchi. So this backstretch, from the chicane through that backstretch, is a really fun section. It's all downhill, kind of high speed. You can definitely carry a lot of momentum if you get the right line through there. It's just nice and flowing all the way through this turn. I love this turn here. You can carry a lot of speed here, especially if you go wide and then turn it in tight. As you can see, the young lady from a quick brown fox was in a little tight there. Just cuts her angle off, and you see the effort she has to do now to accelerate back on it instead of using momentum. It was the same with the girl in front of her in the yellow jersey. Yeah, I think there's a lot of things people don't understand just about keeping momentum through a race. The higher you keep your speed up and the more momentum you keep, the less energy you have to use. It's basically anytime you touch your brakes, you're going to have to use a lot of energy to build your speed back up. And it doesn't matter really what type of rider you are, because anytime, no matter what type of rider you are, quick, close little incident there, but no matter what type of rider you are, the more energy you save, the more you'll be able to use that energy at key spots during the race. You always want to use it to your advantage. And who doesn't like free speed? So you don't want to build up your speed just to scrub it off by being on the brakes. So you want to be on the brakes as little as possible, and you want to be at steeper lean angles as little as possible. I think Felicia's doing a pretty good job just staying up and being protected. She's riding a little conservative as well. This is her first time on the course. But yeah, I think she's doing pretty good of just kind of being protected up there where she wants to be. Yeah, the girls are on it now. They got the pace going pretty hot right now. I think Marlena could be a little better tucked in on that section there. If you're not going to make the pass, you might as well take advantage of the draft. As long as the riders in front of you are staying attached on a hard effort like that, for me, I'd sit behind them. If they're starting to open a gap like you can see here, then you got to go around. But you have to make that decision early before the gap gets too big. I talked to the young lady right here in front of Marlena. I don't know her name. I think it's rider 222. I kind of talked to her before the race as well. Just kind of, told her what to look out for. She had never done the course before either. So yeah, she's out here competing, doing a good job. I just, wish I knew her name. Or I should have gotten her name when I spoke to her before the race. So as you can see, most of the riders taking this wide approach here and then cutting up the road here. That's pretty much the best way to take that turn. You should be a little closer to the apex there on the right-hand side, closer to the barrier right at the apex of that corner. But that is the better approach. Keep your speed high, wide approach, cut it tight, and then you'll be pointing up the road here on the straightaway instead of towards the barriers to the left. And you'll see later when people are taking a really tight line, it's a slower approach. They have to cut so much speed. So yeah, it's finally calmed down a little bit. You can see they're bunched up pretty much here. This is what makes it a little sketchier with not being a typical four-corner crit, and you have a little bit of technical sections, and then you have it going slow pace with people 4 and 5 wide. Yeah, that's kind of a recipe for disaster, just because, like I said before, so many people are taking such varying lines, and it makes it a little bit unpredictable. You don't know which line the rider next to you is on or gonna prefer going through that section. Much safer when it's strung out. That's Felicia there in front of Marlena now. And again, the girls are back on it, up over 27 miles per hour. It's a pretty competitive race. It was a pretty tough field. A lot of strong riders in this field. I think there's Priscilla also over to the left. I think this was her first race of the year. Priscilla's super strong. Who's won a ton of races also. got about 4 mommies. I didn't mention them earlier. Got 4 of the Encyclo mommies, I think, in here, 3 or 4. But yeah, so those are really like the 3 teams that are in here: is a Quick Brown Fox, our team, a Faster Me, and the Encyclo mommies. But everyone else is pretty much kind of onesie twosies in the field. So, but yeah, it's very competitive, very fast. Again, you can see Alyssa took like a kind of bad line there, and that's why she lost a little momentum. Everyone passed her fairly easy just because she was a little too close to the barriers and her line wasn't as flowing. Same there, she made up ground, but you can see like just running wide there. And it's kind of hard to explain because the camera would have to be on her for the whole line, but as you can see, she carried a lot of speed into the turn, but then had to slow down coming out of the turn. And that's not really what you want to do. You want to do the opposite. You want to get all your slowing down, braking done before your actual, before you initiate turn in. And then you want to be accelerating or carrying higher speed out of the turn, not necessarily into the turn, which they go kind of hand in hand. You'll be able to carry a little bit more speed into the turn, but not to the point where you'd have to slow down on exit. Slowing down on the exit of a turn is counterproductive. Okay, once again, they're pretty bunched up here going into, one of the not so standard turns here, going into the chicane. And you definitely just want to have it more one line through here, 1 or 2. What also makes this event kind of unique is on the last day, which is today, the Sunday, the amateur crits go off all day basically. But the stage race with the pro field, they start here as well. So they start at the crit, go off, and in between our races, they start here. They go off and do a road race, and then however many riders can make it back to the circuit in the front group, then they get to finish the race here. I don't know, they do 3 to 5 laps, something like that, and they finish the road race here on the crit circuit, which kind of unique, I think it's the only race that we have out here like that. Yeah, you see it in the World Tour ranks every once in a while. It's not really a crit that they finish on, but they'll go out, do a road race, come back and do a couple laps of a circuit. It's kind of unique the way it's done here, where they're going to do a road race, come back and finish it with a few laps of a crit, just because this course is so small. And usually, like on the World Tour level, it's going to be a bigger circuit, more like a actual circuit and not a crit course. But yeah, we don't have too many races like this, so definitely makes this one a little bit unique. And not everyone gets to finish here at the crit circuit, so you basically have to make the front group. So if there's a breakaway and you're not in it and you get here, like your race is done. So basically if you're not in the break, you don't get to finish on the crit circuit. Usually the race will start with about 100 riders, and there's about 20 or so that actually finish the race on the crit circuit. So again, that's the most technical turn on this course. Usually you'll get, throughout the race, you'll get some people scraping a peg there, just trying to pedal through, trying to be a little aggressive on that turn. I don't know, the risk versus reward's not really there. Yeah, you can take it with higher speed, but you're not going to get that much more speed out of there. So it's better just to navigate that turn safely instead of trying to like be aggressive pedaling through it. You can soft pedal through it, or you can even pedal through it depending on what speed or what angle you're at. But the risk versus reward is not really there to kind of to try to carry really high speed through that off camber decreasing radius turn. I think it's much better here to carry high speed here than it is on, trying to carry higher speed in turn one. Because this just sets you up for good momentum up this false flat. And the more speed you'll have hitting this false flat, the lower you can keep your power. Because it's very easy to spike power on this false flat or to lose speed. As you can see, it's like over 4% at some point. Overall, in some of the other races, the numbers were down. This race is going to be a lot because, like I said, a lot of riders came over from the stage race. But in some of the other races, the numbers were down just because the uncertainty of the weather. This looks perfect. You can see there's light out, 63 degrees, not too cold, not too hot. But yeah, in about another hour or so, it's pouring rain here. So, yeah, so unfortunately, some of the other races had low numbers. Yeah, unfortunately, the quick brown fox girl right here in front putting in a great effort. But if you saw her in that turn there, she kind of is making multiple inputs through that turn. And those are just some of the things I like to point out because I think it's where people need the most improvement at a lot of these different levels. Again, it doesn't matter if you're a pro or not. It doesn't matter how strong you are. There's still things you can improve on. And like I said, race lines and understanding cornering is just one of the things people can improve on. People hate me when I say this, but there's World Tour riders that can't corner. And that's been pointed out by a lot of people in the last 5 years, not me. They attribute some of the crashes to that very fact that people move up so fast because of how strong they are, but they have not learned, either bike handling or cornering, descending. There's a lot of World Tour riders that can't descend well. Super strong climbers, and of course somebody's going to say, oh, they can descend better than every amateur because they're on the World Tour, and that's simply not true. It's just not. They're just stronger than everybody, obviously. That's not debatable, but that doesn't mean someone is better at every single thing just because they're at a certain level. And you can see it. If you watch races, you can see that sometimes people cannot descend. And often because, again, descending is cornering, it's race lines, it's making the right approach, it's understanding how the corners connect together, it's understanding that you're not really turning or you're not really setting up every single turn. Sometimes you take a turn a certain way because you're looking for 3 turns ahead, 2 turns ahead. You're looking at how to carry speed into the next turn. There's a lot of things that go along with that, and because people are so strong at such a young age now, they get moved up, like I said before, and often they skip some of those fundamentals. You can see a lot of people ran wide there. That's where it gets a little dangerous over by the gutter because it's off camber. So if you're at a steep lean angle with the road kind of falling away from you, it's fairly easy to lose the front end, especially if it's a little dirty or something over there. All right, so we probably got about 10 laps to go here. There's also a lot of preems also. So, yeah, there's a lot to fight for here. That's why you see the surging. Unfortunately, I can't hear when I do the voiceovers just because the video goes silent. So, so there won't be any interference with the mic. But, yes, the race was very surgy and spiky here and there. So, yeah, a lot of it's preems. Sometimes it's just people attacking for whatever reason, but the preems always motivate you to win a little bit of money or a couple prizes. Always motivates people to get back on the gas. You can definitely see they're strung out a little bit more here, so it's back getting the speed up again. It's not as bunched up going through the chicane here. There's a pretty good dip at the front of that chicane, but it's also cambered in the correct way, so you can actually carry a lot of speed through there if you're comfortable with just the movement of the bike when it hits the dip. I think that's Camilla in front of Marlena right now in the Quick Brown Fox kit. Not to the left, but in the center there with the Valentino Rossi knee out. I shouldn't say the Rossi knee because Rossi didn't make that up, but he's one of the people that's just popular, so everyone thinks it's the Rossi knee, but yeah, he didn't make that up at all. Yeah, there's definitely some big efforts going on here. I think this might be one of the highest speeds I've seen them hit right before the chicane. 26 miles per hour coming in. I think there's a little bit of an oversteer there coming out of the chicane by the group. Again, talking about lines, when you come out of that chicane, you can really just run it to the right a little bit and gradually stand up your bike instead of turning so tight back to the left. Yeah, the intensity definitely seems to be ramping up just a little bit. Still have a little ways to go, though. So right there is the bump in that chicane. But again, it's not a big deal, and it's cambered. You're not going to fall. And I shouldn't say it's a bump. It's a dip, actually. Yeah, so one of the reasons I pointed out earlier, and I said there's like multiple steering inputs through that turn, but one of the reasons there's multiple steering inputs in that turn is because the speed was too low. So they're only going 23 miles per hour. Whenever the speed's low and you're on the incorrect line for the amount of speed you're going, you're going to make some adjustments there. So if you see, that was a good job by Marlena. She started moving up, and then the Quick Brown Fox lady ended up putting in an attack here. I think Marlena could be tucked in behind her a little better, but other than that, it's a great job of kind of using her momentum and just, you know, moving up. She was already moving up, but then when she attacked, she just jumped on the back of this wheel. Be great to see if they have a gap or not, but yeah, I would say here Marlena should let the girl still pull because she's putting in that effort. So go ahead and use her energy, unless you have a gap. If you have a gap, then yeah, go ahead and pull through and try to extend that gap a little bit. Now that Marlena has no one in front of her, that's a good line there, hitting that apex. Hit another apex here. The only thing is a little bit of an oversteer there. She should have kept it out to the right just a little bit and then gradually brought it back to this side, because that little oversteer actually scrubs a little bit of speed. So here is kind of like ignore that apex there. It's kind of second apex turn, run it wide, and then she should cut it really tight towards the right barrier here, just like she does. That's almost a perfect turn there. Unfortunately, though, on the front, you got to put in some heavier watts going up this, some heavy watts going up this false flat here. It's a little different on the front opposed to being, you know, in the back. The back has the accordion effect where you end up having to surge really hard and spike to catch back up to the draft. But coming out of the front, you're just pushing your own wind. And you can see she has the speed down now, trying to shut it down a little bit. We did kind of yell at her not to be, you know, not to do too much work on the front. I would love for her to be third, fourth wheel, you know, fifth wheel, something like that, but not exactly on the front, just pulling the group around. It's different if you have a gap and you want to use your energy. But for the most part, you should be working, times you should be working the hardest is when it benefits you or a teammate. But right now, she's just pulling the group, even though her watts are a little bit low. You're still doing more watts than anyone behind you. So, yeah, so we just kind of told her to shut it down a little bit and then slot back in. So the young lady here comes underneath and makes a good move, picks the speed back up. And shout out to CCB. I don't know what CCB stands for, but the CCB riders were very strong. I think the first time I saw them come out was Tour de Marietta. They came out and won the crit, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, definitely very strong riders, and they make it spicy, you know. A lot of attacks off the front. They're at the front, kind of controlling the race most of the time, and they did a great job again this weekend. So yeah, this is kind of a good position. I'd love to see Marlena and my other riders up in about this position, you know, third place, fourth wheel, stuff like that. You want to be near the front, just it's safer. You have one, you know, it's one line. You don't have riders crowding you as much. Single file up there. There's one of the other CCB riders. So yeah, this is a lot more comfortable than see how she fades back. And when she fades back, there's riders on both sides. You're going to get swarmed a little bit. And yeah, it's just not as safe, not as comfortable. You don't have the freedom to take the line you want as you fade back through the peloton like this. You see Priscilla give Felina a little hand there, just letting her know that she's there, kind of wanting her to slot in front of her. Yep, got the speed back up again. The girls are on it. 27 miles per hour, almost 400 watts, over 400 watts. So if you look up to the top there, there's going to be a little crash. And I don't know exactly what happened. All I can see is one of the mommies went from the left side to the right side. And then they made contact with one of the other riders. I just don't know what happened or why that took place the way it did. I'm not saying it's whose fault it is because I don't know. I couldn't see on the video. It's a little bit, it gets blocked up there. I can just see the jersey go from the left side move over to the right, and then there's a rider in the way after that, and then they make contact. But it did look like either something forced her to the right, or sometimes the front of the group kind of weaves a little bit up there, and maybe people just weren't prepared for the weave to come their direction. But either way it goes, it's racing. It happens. It's just a racing incident as far as I can see. I don't think anyone, did anything so poorly or so bad or anything like that. It's just, when I was trying to figure out what caused the crash, like what exactly happened, that's the only thing I can see is, the rider went from the left to the right. And I'm not saying it's her fault. I'm just saying I just can track that person went from the left to the right, and then there was a collision on the right-hand side there. And hopefully everyone's okay. I think they were. Everyone got up kind of quickly, so there's no one on the ground now. It's a great attack there by the young lady in the blue kit. Stretches the field out again, especially after a fast lap, not giving anyone a chance to rest. Here goes Georgetta again. So this again is not a bad spot here. If you want to be like 10th wheel, it's stretched out. 10th wheel is not bad either. It gets really bad though once you get it back, 15th position, 20th position. Then there's that, accordion effect, washing machine effect, and that can tax you really bad back there. It can really sap your energy. Takes higher concentration also to ride in, in the pack with more people around you. Yeah, definitely there was almost a clash of lines right there at that turn. Again, that really tight line is not it. It's just not it. It creates a T-bone angle, number one. Number two, you have to scrub so much speed to make the right-hand turn. Number three, it keeps you at a sharper lean angle, giving you a chance of clipping your peg if you were to pedal through, which we've seen in this race many times in all categories. And yeah, just momentum-wise, it doesn't allow you to exit with any type of speed. So yeah, just overall, that really tight line in that last turn is just not it. It's not the line. Or we should be coming down to about, 5 laps to go, maybe 4 or 5 laps to go here. Yeah, there's a manhole cover, like a sewer cover there also almost at the apex of that turn. Typically you want to be inside, you want to be to the right of that manhole cover. If you're taking a proper line through there, typically you want to be to the right. Marlena should jump on that wheel right there. The girl's moving up. That would have been definitely a good opportunity to make up about 10 spots. Yeah, you can see how much acceleration people have to put on coming out of that turn usually. Especially after that long false flat. Then you come out of that decreasing radius turn and have to put in a hard effort. That's where you kind of feel the fatigue. And then here's a lot of recovery. It's a lot of recovery from, you know, the chicane down through turn, through the last turn. I don't know what number it is. I guess it would be turn 5 or so. Yeah, it definitely gets a little sketchy when it's like bunched up like this. You can just see all the weaving, multiple turns, multiple adjustments. So we got the speed slowed down a little bit here, a little bit quiet before the storm. You know, looks like 3 laps to go. It always gets quiet for just a second, and then of course it's a huge surge, and it kind of holds it through the last couple laps. That's why if you get a chance, you have to move up with a few laps to go. You know, at least I'd say 4 to 5 laps to go. You want to move up and not go backwards from that point on. It's just once you get, you know, back and the speed picks up for those last 2 laps, it's just really hard to make up spots. Everybody's kind of desperate. Everyone's thinking the same thing. So you definitely got to get in a better position, at least up into that top 10 or 15 with a few laps to go. And then it's easier to make up like 1 or 2 spots. But we all do it, though. We all get a little complacent or out of position, and then you're back too far. Then the pace picks up, and, you know, you're just struggling from that point on. Young lady here looks like she has a problem with her gears. She's spinning out pretty good, so I don't know if she's in small gear. The young lady from the Quick Brown Fox in the middle right here. But yeah, she's having an issue pedaling. Looks like she might have, you know, accidentally went into her small ring and, you know, couldn't get it back to the big ring. So yeah, now as you can see with a couple laps to go, pace is really hot. And when you're back this far, it's just really hard to make up spots. So yeah, when you're in this situation, if it slows down at all, you gotta make it. Gotta put in that little effort to move up. Even when you're tired, once the peloton slows down a little bit, people want to coast. You gotta take that time to make up a couple spots if you can. So yeah, I don't know if this is the last lap or if there's one more to go. Yeah, I think it's the last lap. But maybe not. I can't tell. Maybe one more to go. Everybody's on it though, so maybe this is the last lap. It looks like body language, people are pretty intense. Time-wise, it looks like there might be one to go. Yeah, definitely one to go. All right, so this is going into the last lap here. All right, so good job by Marleno here, moving up. The peloton kind of swings to the right. And then here, getting pinched just a little bit with the barriers. So yeah, that was a really good job of moving up there. You hate to use all the energy, but, you know, right now you just got to do what you can and move up as far as you can. That's Camilla to her left right there. Got a rider shooting up the inside, overtaking a spot. Marlene left that gap open. Georgetta moves underneath there. Yeah, so they're bunched up just a little bit because they can be carrying more speed through that chicane. They've carried more speed earlier in the race. For this to be the last lap, they definitely should have went through the chicane a lot faster. So you can see here, like Georgetta's on not way, but too tight of a line there. So she's not going to have any momentum coming out. And that's what I mean by taking that tight line. You see how Marlena carried more momentum coming out of that turn? And the same with Elisa almost running wide into the barriers there. Definitely got to take a wide approach and then cut it tight. So good sprint by Marlena. You know, doesn't finish where she wants to. But yeah, just get caught too far back there. So anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the next one.